Your course preview of the Patriot Statesman Classic 5K course at Blackburn Park in Webster Groves, Missouri. We'll watch a quick overview of the course and then look at it in a little more detail. So this is 3 loops around the park. So there's the first loop and the second loop, and now we're on the third loop. And as you come around in the third loop at the very top, you make a left turn into the finish up by that baseball field. So let's take a look at each kilometer separately. So there's the starting line down there. We'll look at elevation in a second, but the start is up a slope. Then you make a turn at the top, and then sort of a zigzag through those trees, a straight line. This is going downhill, and then you're going to cut behind the baseball field. There are some sidewalk crossings. They do a good job at this course of covering those with mats, so your spikes will be just fine. Then we come around the starting line, and that's where the first loop ends. And we'll go a little faster through the second loop since it's the same thing. One thing that strikes me about this course is there are no wide open straightaways. It's a long start up that gentle slope, but you at the top you turn left, and it really is a lot of turns. It's a sort of a tight course in terms of the left and right side. So you really want to be bold at the beginning of this race, because once you're in there, it's kind of hard to make a move. There's not a whole lot of space to get out and around people in this race. So here's the third loop. And the last time we pass the starting line, we go up the hill and break away from the course into the finish. And you'll notice those kilometers and miles have been popping up there. We want to be aware of those. Our big one is the 4K mark, which is out there above the baseball field in the upper left-hand corner. So that's the third time you run past there. You want to be mindful of the fact that you've got 1,000 meters to the finish. And I would say the second landmark you want to be aware of is when you pass behind the start line for the third time. That's your last time up that slope and then into the finish. So sometimes distances are great to be aware of, but identify some landmarks for those distances. Now let's take a look at the elevation of the course. So we'll zoom out just a little bit here. And here's the elevation profile in gray. And I know sometimes people get a little concerned when they see these because the scale. And so just for a little bit of reference, this red line, that's the hill we call the S Hill at Kirkwood Park that we run on a lot. So that's the one where we go up, down, and then back up to the finish line of the first 1,000. And you'll notice as this goes across the course, there is no hill on this course that is longer or steeper than the hills that we run on at Kirkwood Park. So sometimes there's a lot of conversations about hills on this course. Because of the loop, you hit them a few times, but they're all runnable and you are in great shape. You've trained for this. And at the end of the day, everybody's running on the same course. So you're racing the people, not the course. So with that said, we can trace along the kilometers. So here's some mile markers and some kilometers markers. Here's the elevation. So it's a 40-foot difference between the lowest and highest point on this course. And if we follow each kilometer, you can see there's that gentle slope in the beginning. We drop downhill as we go past the tennis courts. The downhill, we're going downhill as we go past the finish for the first loop. And obviously the second and third loop are going to be very similar. So for every uphill, there are downhills to take advantage of. There's the end of that second loop, and now we're headed into the third loop. And the last time around the start, we head into the finish. After the first loop, I should mention, the start goes up the middle of this field. The next times you go through that, up that slope, it's almost like a little trail through the trees over here on the side. So I know that's a long straightaway, but still not a lot of space. So this is an important race to get in really good position, not way out front, but be a little bold there on the start and get in good position at the start of this race, and then keep racing the entire time. I'm looking forward to what we do at the Webster Groves Parkway South Statesman Patriot Classic.